Hey guys, how you doing? My name is Danny, and I am here with Igor Klibanov. He is from Toronto, and he is the CEO of Fitness Solutions Plus. He's also the author of Stop Exercising the Way You're Doing It Now and the Mental Health Prescription. And he also is the author of many other books. So I'm gonna allow him to speak and introduce himself, like where he's from, uh like what his hobbies, married, not married, things like that. Okay.
Sure. Yeah. So my name is Igor. I'm a personal trainer. I run a personal training company in person in the Greater Toronto area, but also virtually. So my team trains clients in the States, in the UK, in Australia, and everywhere. Um, I'm in Toronto here, of course. I've published so far 8 books on exercise and nutrition. Yes, I am married. And hobbies, I like reading a lot, mostly about exercise, nutrition, marketing, and sales. Rock climbing, table tennis, archery, stuff like that.
Okay. Oh, good. That's good. Archery, okay. That's good.
Yeah.
Uh, um, uh, how important is a person's physical health as a fitness trainer?
Are you asking about how important is the personal trainer's health or
Oh no, as people's health in general, like from your perspective, how important is like people's physical health, like your clients that you work with?
well, very important. As they say, health is wealth. A lot of my clients come to me when they've recently retired, like within the last 3 months. And during their working career, they often traded in their career for their bank account. Now that they're retired, they have the extra, 40 to 60 hours per week that they didn't have before. And now they want to spend it on their health. Um, so yeah, health is wealth.
Okay, yeah, that's true. That's a common phrase a lot of people use.
Yeah, for sure.
Hmm. Uh, I had watched a movie. I believe it was a Batman movie, and uh, he had build muscle doing push-ups. Is it possible to do that? Build muscle with push-ups and sit-ups alone or no?
You can build muscle in very specific areas with push-ups and sit-ups. And even then, only if you do it right. To build muscle, you need two major elements, and that is proper strength training and adequate protein. Proper strength training means you have to train the muscle groups that you want to grow. So if you want to grow your chest, your shoulders, and your triceps, push-ups will do the job. If you want to grow other areas, push-ups won't do the job. Push-ups don't work the back, they don't work the abs, they don't work the legs. Um, etc. So push-ups build muscle in a very specific area. You have to do an adequate number of sets, adequate number of repetitions. You have to come close enough to muscular failure, etc. So there are a few elements to building muscle, and push-ups and sit-ups will accomplish it for some people, and they won't accomplish it for other people.
Oh yeah, okay, that's true. That's true. And for protein, I see a lot of people that do like those protein powder shakes. Which one's better, like just eating natural food or taking those big bucket of protein and dumping it with water and drinking that all day?
They're both good. The body just wants adequate protein, and adequate protein depends on a few factors: a person's age, activity levels, and body weight. Sometimes it's very hard to get adequate protein based on all those factors. For example, the people who need the most amount of protein are men over 60 who are strength training. They need as much as 2.4, even 2.5 grams per kilogram per day. Um, with food alone, it's pretty hard to get that amount of protein. But if they do food and powder, that makes it better. And it doesn't have to be one or the other. You can do food and powder. You don't just have to do or either one alone. I definitely don't recommend you get 100% of your protein from protein powders. Um, you can definitely get 100% of your protein from food, but you shouldn't get 100% of your protein from protein powders. Protein powder should make up somewhere between 0 and maybe 30 or 40% of your protein intake at most.
Okay. Mm. Um, what are some muscle building foods?
Well, high protein foods are also muscle building foods. The best muscle building foods, the highest protein foods, are bar none meat, fish, and seafood. Um, and people often ask me, well, the what about foods? The what about foods that largely the vegan community says are high in protein but aren't. So things like beans. Beans are not a great protein source. They're a decent protein source, but not a great protein source. 1 cup of beans has between 12 to 14 grams of protein, compared to a chicken breast, which has between 35 and 45 grams of protein. Um, Another thing that the vegetarian community says is high protein is eggs. Eggs are also not a high protein source. One medium egg has 6 grams of protein. Again, a chicken breast has 35 to 45 grams. One more thing that is often said to be high in protein is dairy. Not correct either. 1 glass of milk has about 9 grams of protein. One slice of cheese has about 6 grams of protein, or even 5 grams of protein. So also not a great protein source. Another thing that the plant-based community or the vegetarian or the vegan communities say is high protein is things like uh, lentils, stuff like that. Not true. Lentils are in the same category as beans, which is 12 to 14 grams per serving. Or nuts. Nuts are also very low in protein, about 5 or 6 grams per handful. So those are none of those are great protein sources. The only really, really, really good protein sources are meat, fish, and seafood, because all of those contain more than 30 grams of protein per serving.
Yeah. So meat, fishes, and what was the last one?
Seafood. So lobster, shrimp,
Okay,
crab, stuff like that.
okay. So meat and seafood. Okay.
Yeah, meat, fish, and seafood.
Okay. That's good information.
Thank you.
Um, why does calcium alone does not strengthen the bones?
Well, calcium gives the illusion of strength, but not actual strength. And what it does is it increases bone density. But what's the purpose of bone density? Bone density is just a test. It's a test that measures something much more important than bone density, which is fracture risk. That's what really matters. So calcium improves bone density, but does not do anything to fracture risk. So all that it does is it cheats the test. You see, bone density, the full name of that is bone mineral density. And what that means is it measures the mineral content of bone. However, minerals only make up about 40% of bone. So what about the other 60% that isn't minerals? Well, that's things like collagen. It's A, the amount of collagen, but B, how well linked are the collagen particles to each other. If the links are strong and there's a lot of it, your fracture risk will be low. Now, if you have calcium and there's very little attachment between the collagen links, then the fracture risk will be high. So calcium is not a great way to decrease fractures. It's a good way to improve your bone density, but you're not taking the test just to look good on tests. You're taking the test to predict your fracture risk, and calcium does not change fracture risk.
Okay. Uh, is it good to fast and work out or no?
So that there's a lot of things to unpack here. Is it good to fast and work out? Well, it depends on a bunch of different factors. Um, if your goal is strictly fat loss, then I say eat when you want to eat. And if you want to skip breakfast, go ahead and skip breakfast. And if you want to work out fasted, that's fine as well. For the vast majority of people, it's perfectly fine to fast and exercise. Now, for a tiny minority of people who are either have low blood sugar or are so elite that what they eat and when they eat really matters, I say it's probably better not to work out fasted. But again, that doesn't apply to like 95 or 98% of the population. 95, 98% of the population just eat the right amount of calories, regardless of the time that you eat those calories, and exercise, 3 to 6 days a week.
Okay. And let's say a guy like me, I want to build muscle. I want to get ripped, but at the same time, I don't want to be slow. I still want to be as fast as I am. How could I do that?
So it sounds like you want to do 3 different things. One, you want to build muscle. Two, you want to lose body fat. Three, you want to maintain your speed. Um, and so what I would do is it's very, very hard to accomplish all three at the same time. So I would prioritize, pick which one you want to do first. What I tell men, if they are over about 15% of a 15% body fat, I say lose fat first, gain muscle second. If they are under 12%, I say put on muscle first, lose fat second. If they're between 12 and 15% body fat, I say you can do whatever you want. And the key to maintain your speed is to just do consistent speed training while you're gaining muscle. Now, when you're losing body fat, you're going to gain speed anyways. So the real issue is gaining speed or maintaining speed while you're getting bigger. A few people can do that. Like, for example, Roy Jones Jr. was able to do it when he moved up from middleweight all the way up to heavyweight. But there needs to be some dedicated speed training. Manny Pacquiao did it when he moved from the smallest weight class to a higher weight class, to welterweights. But you have to do dedicated speed training at the same time as you're bulking up.
Okay. And how do you know, you talk about percentage body, underweight, overweight, how do you figure that out?
That's a big question of what's a good way to figure out what's your body fat percentage. The way that I personally do it with my clients is with body fat calipers. So I pinch different pieces of skin around the body, 11 to be exact, to figure out what is their body fat percentage. But there are other tools. The most common one, I guess, is the handheld device, where you hold on to metal pieces and it tells you how much body fat you have, or the scale that you step on, and that tells you how much body fat you have. I'm not a fan of either one because the accuracy is terrible.
Mhm.
For example, I once measured a client literally 30 seconds apart and it gave me a 4% of body fat difference between the two measurements. So there's no accuracy there, but they are most common because they're easy to use and require no expertise. The best thing out there for body fat, the most accurate, is a DEXA scan, DEXA. Unfortunately, that's also very inaccessible. You don't find it at gyms. You really only find it at highly specialized laboratories.
Mhm.
So that's the upsides and downsides. That a DEXA scan is very, very accurate, and that's the upside. The downside is accessibility and price. It's not the cheapest thing in the world. And the other downside is frequency. You're probably not going to get a DEXA scan every 2 weeks, but you can definitely use calipers every 2 weeks. There's also upsides and downsides to calipers. Upside, decent accuracy. Not as good as DEXA, but not as bad as the devices that you hold on to. The other upside is frequency. You can very well do it, every 2 weeks. You can do it every week, no problems. The downside is accuracy. It is more accurate than the traditional methods, but it's less accurate than DEXA.
Okay. And also, that weight scale you talk about that you can find in the laboratory, is it possible for somebody to buy online or no?
No, these devices cost in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they usually only sell them to like licensed facilities.
Okay. Do you also use BMI, body mass index, or no?
Um, for in my clients know on a population-wide basis, when you're working with large numbers of people, BMI is okay.
Okay.
The big criticism of BMI or body mass index is that if somebody is so muscular that they don't register as lean, they register as overweight or even obese. Well, my retort to that is what percent of the population is that muscular? 1% or less. So on a population-wide basis, BMI is okay. On an individual basis, I don't use it with my clients.
Okay. Okay. And for people that don't know, BMI is basically a person's weight in kilograms or pounds divided by the square height in meters or feet.
Yeah, exactly. So the official formula for BMI is your weight in kilograms divided by your height in meters squared.
Yeah. Right. 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 And I think the normal one is like 18.5 to like 24.9.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, like sport drinks like Monster and things like that, would that hurt someone working out or like would it
Um,
affect progress?
yeah, in my opinion, by and large, most people who are taking pre-workouts have no business taking pre-workouts. Um, if you're not a competitive athlete, you have no business taking pre-workouts. If you just want to get a good result, energy drinks won't make any difference. Now, if you're in that tiny, tiny, tiny percent of the population where a 1% improvement in your performance will be the difference between a scholarship and no scholarship, between a $10 million contract and no $10 million contract, then you probably should use energy drinks 1 to 3 times per week. Other than that, most people just go to the gym to lose body fat and gain muscle, have no business using it.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not really a fan of a Monster neither.
Yeah.
Um, it seemed like you was highly knowledgeable about different diseases and like treatments of those diseases. Did you go to school for this, or you just did a lot of research?
Well, my degree is in kinesiology, so I do have a specialized honors degree and bachelor's in kinesiology and health science. Having said that, I learned this stuff outside of school. The amount of information that I learned in school that helps me with my current career is maybe about 2 weeks out of 4 years. So 4 years could have been condensed into 2 weeks. So I know sometimes I'm a little critical of how little practical stuff I was taught in my degree. However, the vast majority of what I learned about diseases and how to work with people who have these diseases is way outside of school. I basically there's no certifications for this other than the one that I created. Um, this is essentially just stuff that I read the medical literature and figured out what is the best exercise protocol for different conditions.
Okay, that's good. That's real good. Most people not as dedicated at but to do all that, that's really good that you do that.
I'm just a naturally curious person. I don't want to know a good way. I want to know the best way.
Right, right, right. Um, hmm. What are some simple exercises that a person can do to lower their blood pressure? Let's say they got a high blood pressure, they want to exercise, but they get like shorter breath. So like
Yeah.
what are some simple exercises they can do?
For high blood pressure, simple but time consuming, I would say do some cardio. You should, and here's the thing. Most people say I do cardio, I do gardening, I go for a walk. I walk 10,000 steps per day. But let's be clear on the definition of cardio. Cardio is exercise that is intense enough for you to achieve 75% of your maximal heart rate or more. That's cardio. Less than that is may have great benefits, but what it's not accomplishing is cardio. It's not improving your cardiovascular endurance. So you have to achieve a minimum of 75% of your maximal heart rate, and you have to maintain that for about 150 minutes per week. So that is about 2.5 hours, whether that is 50 minutes 3 times per week, 30 minutes 5 times per week, or any combination between. It'll accomplish that goal. And so cardio is very, very good for that, but it's time consuming. A variation of cardio that is not time consuming at all, but also doesn't have the endurance benefits of cardio, but also helps lower blood pressure, is simple hand grip training. What I'll often have my clients do is squeeze their hands together with about 30% force for about 2 minutes. Then they would release that contraction for 3 minutes and then do that again 3 more times for a total of 4. And they would repeat that 3 times per week. It doesn't require any endurance, doesn't require any equipment, and it lowers blood pressure really, really effectively. Now, at the same time, it doesn't have the endurance benefits of cardio, and it doesn't have the strength benefits of strength training, but it lowers blood pressure.
That's good. That's good. Um, can you tell us about your dream MAP program? What is that and what does that stand for?
Sure. The dream body map session is the assessment that we do on our clients who are starting off for the first time. MAP stands for muscle, activity, purpose. In other words, what are you trying to do? So what that is during the assessment, we discuss a person's goals and we make them very concrete. So if somebody says, I want to get fit, well, what does being fit mean to you? Or I want to get healthy. Well, what does being healthy mean to you? Is it better cholesterol levels, more energy, lower weight, less back pain? What does being healthy mean to you? Because it means different things to different people. That's part one. Part two is we discuss what are the obstacles standing in your way to your goals so that we can address them. It's nice to live in a dream world where there are no obstacles, but in the real world, there are obstacles. There's motivation, there's time, there's kids, there's food preferences, etc. So we discuss any obstacles so that we can get them out of the way. Then we discuss injuries because to create a proper program, we need to know what injuries are we working with. We wouldn't give the same exercise program to somebody with an ACL tear or a knee injury that we would give to somebody without any injury. We also discuss different health conditions. Is somebody perfectly healthy when they're coming in? They just want to lose body fat and gain muscle, or do they have some conditions that we can improve or need to watch out for? Things like type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, osteoporosis, osteoarthritis. We also talk about any medications that they're taking. Because medications certainly affect exercise. For example, the group of medications known as statins, cholesterol-lowering medications, they slow down recovery between exercises and between workouts. Another group of medications for high blood pressure called beta blockers, they will actually decrease how high the heart rate goes. So we have to address that and work around that. So there's different medications that will realistically affect how somebody exercises. And we also give a very thorough symptom questionnaire to our clients to figure out what's going on in their body. And that symptom questionnaire looks at things like hormones, digestion, sleep, stress, immune, cardiovascular, and more. And that's what the Dream Body Map session entails. And that takes between 45 and 60 minutes.
That's good that you know about cardiac meds, statins, like overstatin, you know about beta blockers like metoprolol. That's good.
Yeah, because they make a big difference in terms of exercise performance, and we have to address that.
Okay. So your gym in Toronto, what's the address for that?
It's 7310 Woodbine Avenue.
Okay. All right. You guys heard it, 7310 Woodbine Avenue.
There you go.
All right, Toronto, Canada. Okay. What are some you mentioned osteoporosis a lot when I was checking out your website and other information on you. You said you mentioned osteoporosis, so tell us some exercises, nutrition, and supplements for osteoporosis.
Sure. On the exercise side of things, I divide the exercises into 3 different categories. Category number 1 is prevention. So you want to prevent falling if you have osteoporosis. So that involves things like balance training. It's important to make sure that you don't fall, but I mean, who actually plans to fall? So when patients get the recommendation of don't fall, well, it's not like they're falling for fun. They're falling because they didn't expect to fall. So you actually have to do dedicated balance training to prevent falling in the first place. So that's category number 1. Category number 2 is strength training. You have to strength train the right way for bone strength. And I differentiate between bone strength and bone density because they're not the same thing, as we discussed earlier. And strength training for bone strength is not the same as strength training for muscle strength or muscle growth or other forms of strength training. There's a specific way to exercise to do strength training for bone strength, which is different than others. And then category number 3 is jump training. Jumping is one of the most beneficial exercises for your bones. But if somebody already has osteoporosis, it's also a very high risk exercise. So you have to get the benefits of jumping without the risks of jumping. And there are specific ways of doing that. So on the exercise side of things, those are the 3 categories: balance training, strength training, jump training. On the nutrition side of things, one thing that is highly, highly, highly overrated is calcium. And we talked about this earlier, but in one of the meta-analyses that I referenced in my book, over tens of thousands of women were divided up into 4 different groups based on their calcium consumption. Group number 1 consumed less than 400 milligrams of calcium per day. Group number 2 consumed between 400 and 800. Group number 3 consumed between 800 and 1200, and group number 4 consumed over 1200. And what they looked at in this study is not their bone density, but something much more important than that: fractures. How many fractures did they experience over the period of the study? And there was absolutely no difference in the fractures between the highest calcium group and the lowest calcium group. So calcium is highly overrated. So if calcium is overrated, what do you eat for bone strength? The single most important thing you can eat for bone strength is simple, good old protein. Back to our meat, fish, and seafood. Besides that, vitamin K also helps, but it so happens to be that a lot of foods that are high in vitamin K are also high in protein. So the one thing I really need to emphasize is just protein, protein, protein. Again, it has to be an adequate amount of protein. And again, what's adequate depends on age, activity levels, and body weight. As for supplements, some of the most effective supplements for osteoporosis, number 1 is type 1 collagen or collagen peptides. It needs to be about 5 grams per day or more. Another one that is very effective for osteoporosis in postmenopausal women, but not as much in men, is soy isoflavones. Those two are very, very powerful. Another one is vitamin K. Interesting thing about vitamin K is that the the fracture risk reduction from taking vitamin K is greater than the increase in bone density. So it's said that for every 1% increase in bone density, fracture risk is reduced by about 8%. Now, vitamin K increases bone density a little bit, not a ton, between 1 and 2%. Yet the fracture risk is reduced between 50 and 70%, so a disproportionate amount. So those would be probably my top three supplements for bone density or bone strength. Now, a lot of people ask, what about vitamin D? What about other vitamins, etc.? Every vitamin is good for you if you're deficient in it. No deficiency, no benefit. If you're deficient in vitamin D, to go from deficient to sufficient is very beneficial. From sufficient to excessive is harmful. Not just useless, but actually harmful. Yes, low calcium can cause osteoporosis, but high calcium can cause osteoporosis too. In another study that I referenced in my book, people, men specifically, who had normal bone density and normal vitamin D levels, the researchers gave them like additional vitamin D supplementation to take their blood levels of vitamin D above the normal range. And what they found is that bone density actually went down when vitamin D levels went above the normal range. So the body doesn't like too little of anything or too much of anything. It likes just the right amount.
Yeah,
So
that's true. That's true. And you
yeah,
are what
yeah.
you eat. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So those are that in summary is the exercise, nutrition, supplementation for osteoporosis.
Um, do you use like you heard of like my plate and my pyramid? Do you help your clients with that or?
Somewhat. So my plate, my pyramid, they are nutritional guidelines on a population basis. The thing is, for most people, the problem isn't information because information isn't motivation. There's no shortage of information out there about nutrition, what's the right thing to eat. And for all the different diets, yes, there's a lot they disagree on, but the stuff that they agree on is way bigger than the stuff they disagree on. Every single diet thinks most people should be getting more veggies, more protein, less junk. Very few diets disagree on that. And including my pyramid, including Atkins, including everything, they all agree on more protein, more veggies, less junk. Everybody agrees on that. And so if we know this, why don't people follow it? Because information isn't motivation. So yes, I help them have a healthier diet, but not because I tell them eat this kind of diet. More than anything, I help them address things that really undermine or sabotage their efforts at a healthy diet, like emotional eating, stress eating, cravings, lack of planning. Those are the true drivers of nutrition. To look at a bad diet as a nutritional problem would be only seeing the surface level issue, which is you're eating the wrong things. But it's not asking the deeper question of why are you eating the wrong things? And that really comes down to emotions, behavior, stress management, etc.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Sure.
Did you always want to jump in this career or now?
Yeah, pretty much. Even when I was in high school, I was doing martial arts and I really enjoyed training myself and I really enjoyed training other people. As soon as I graduated from high school, yes, I went to university to study kinesiology, but while I was doing my undergrad, I was already working as a personal trainer.
Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
You mentioned martial arts. Which martial arts was you practicing?
I did three different martial arts. When I was living in Israel, when I was a kid, I did traditional karate.
Mm,
Then when I moved to Canada, I did a different style called Kempo karate.
mhm.
And then when I moved to a different part of the Greater Toronto area, I started doing a style called Sikaran, which is a Filipino style, very similar to Taekwondo in that there's a lot of kicking.
Okay. Okay. What made you passionate about health and healthcare?
Martial arts, actually. So when I love competition, and I'm also very, very analytical. And I didn't have the greatest body for martial arts, not for striking anyway. Decent body for grappling, but not a good body for striking. I am short and I'm muscular. For striking, you need to be tall and lanky. Muscles don't help when you're a striker.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true. That's true. You know Israel Adesanya?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's got a great body type, right? It's not the Paulo Costa or the or you know those kinds of guys that make the best strikers. It's yeah, guys like Israel Adesanya, John Jones, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those are good body types for striking. That's not the body type I have though, but I still wanted to do really well in competitions. So I started to research how can I get above average results with below average genetics. So while my friends were out partying, I was sitting there on the computer reading about athletic performance enhancement. And I saw that my interest isn't just personal. My interest is also, I'm like, I could see myself doing a living out of this. And so that's why I pursued kinesiology. At first, more for my own sake, because I wanted to do well at competitions. Then I saw that I was very interested in working with older people who had chronic conditions.
Okay. So it seems to me like before you got started with your career, you did a lot of research and a lot of reading and doing things, your education, things like that. And that's what helped you.
Yeah. At first, it was just for me. I just wanted to do well in martial arts competitions. But then I started training clients, and I realized it's not all about me. I'm very interested also in helping my clients. My clients weren't interested in sports or athletic competitions, but they were interested in living longer. They were interested in lowering their blood pressure and lowering their blood sugar, etc. My analytical side said, okay, if you're interested in that, let's go after that. Let's pursue that. So that's what I did.
Okay. Um, yeah. Can you send your social media, your website to me so that way I can post it on below when I post this on YouTube and Rumble?
Sure. So I'm very bad on social media, but I
Mm.
will give you my website, which is
Yeah.
www.fitness. I'll post in a chat box, solutionsplus.ca. And if somebody wants a free PDF copy of my book, Stop Exercising the Way You're Doing It Now, they can go to my website /stop exercising, which is in the chat box right now.
Okay. Let me. There we go. Let me copy that. Okay. Yeah, I'll make sure I post that down below.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. Where do you see yourself in 5 years from now?
uh Doing a lot of similar stuff. The four things that I really enjoy doing in my business is one, actually training clients. So I just want to keep on training clients. Two is public speaking. So I've done 400 speaking engagements so far to most of Canada's largest corporations, like the big banks here and so on.
Mhm.
Um, that's the second thing I really enjoy doing. Three, I really love doing my dream body map sessions with clients. And four, I really enjoy writing. So I've published 8 books so far. I'm working on 3 books simultaneously right now. So in 5 years, maybe I'll have 18 to 20 books under my belt.
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's some good stuff. You
Thank you.
seem like you're doing a lot. Busy, busy.
I like to be busy. It's
Yeah.
not for me. There's no difference between fun and work.
Right. Right.
Work is fun.
Right. Right. Well, thank you, Igor. It was a pleasure meeting you. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe one of these days, as I visit Toronto, I'll go to your gym. Yep.
Sounds good. Hit me up.
Yep. Yep. It was nice meeting you. Enjoy this interview.
You too. Thanks, Danny.
Thank you. Bye bye.
All right. Bye bye.